All right, here's a super exciting property. You can see the raft in the river there. This is tract 18, 10.09 acres with direct frontage on the Niagara River and also directly across from a 400-acre conservation area. So really special property. There we're looking back at the property. You can see a couple trucks parked out there. The guys were right over the river, and the guys were cleaning that site right there and removing some of the brush and stuff just to kind of open up a site on the river. So we're looking easterly over the property. The red truck is parked on the easement road that crosses over the west part, and then we haven't looked that far yet, but way off in the distance, go up the little slope and it levels out, and that will be Marigold Drive up there. And I'm sure we do a flyover of that as well, but we're just trying to get this west part of the property right now. This has about 194 feet of direct river frontage on the White Ribbon trout fishing section of the Niagara River, so extremely special property. You basically will not find anything else like this. It took us, well, 15 years to find anything with river frontage in the White Ribbon section. Okay, so as we look downriver on the right side, that's the Barclay Conservation Area. So you've got some really good privacy there, as well as use of all that land for hunting, recreation, and additional water frontage, which is really cool. This was like a Wednesday or Thursday early afternoon, so there were a few people coming down the river. Everybody was friendly. On a weekend there'll be more, I'm sure, and then in the off season it'll just be a few fishermen here and there. Just a gorgeous area, my goodness. Okay, so now we're looking kind of northwesterly, and the property's on the right. There we go, looking downriver. Like I said, about 194 feet of direct river frontage, so a lot of river frontage on this property. It's wider at Marigold Drive on the east side. It's about 500 feet wide, but it's still, like I said, almost 200 feet on this west side. Basically, the guys just came in and kind of cleared that area a little bit. Could potentially be used as a building site or a campsite as long as it's far enough off that easement road. But you can fish directly from the property. I think I didn't see that much of the river frontage. I only saw what was by that cleared site, but it overlooked the river really nicely. Was probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 or maybe 10 feet above the water. And then the guys also mentioned that they had found 1 or 2 trails that led down right to the water itself. So if you wanted physical access to the water, you have that option. It's actually usually a little more clear than this water is, but a couple days earlier we had a big rain, and that tends to stir things up. But yeah, generally you can look right in and watch the fish. It's really cool to watch those trout and bass and everything in there. Pretty unusual to have rainbow trout and brown trout in your river. There we go. And since they just had the machinery out there, they kind of basically scraped off some of that grass in order to get some of the debris out of there, and that stuff will be back by next year. So now we're facing easterly. All the tracts out here were logged to some extent within the last 1 to 2 years. And this particular tract, actually the east side and much of the middle, looks like it was basically not logged at all. And then this west end, I guess there was some larger commercial trees that were harvested, so you can see some more signs of logging on the west side where we are. But multiple options for building. I mean, if you wanted to build right near the water, you have that option. I mean, you've got, I think, a 5-foot setback from the property boundaries, and then the setback from the easement road will depend on which easement road it is. I know the main easement roads, I believe it's 100 feet, and the secondary easement road is 50 feet, and I believe that red truck is on the secondary easement road, so you just have to be 50 feet off that, so you could be right there by the water if you wanted to be. Now we're looking across at the Barclay Conservation Area. A lot of properties, most properties we've seen adjacent to a major river have a great deal of flood zone. This one does not. Because of that Barclay Conservation Area sitting a little bit below the property, that entire field that you see has to fill up and rise with water before it gets really onto your property. So it's a pretty unique situation. I think when we looked at the flood map on the MapRight program, it was just that extreme western part that they considered a flood zone. And you can check that out if you want to see it. That pond is not on the property, that's on the other side of the road. Okay, we're getting situated here. Trying to figure out exactly where we are. Okay, so again, that pond is not on the property. We're actually, there we go. We're going to do this and spin around, and then we'll be looking across the property. The east side is actually part of the original homestead. We found a concrete foundation on Tract 18. I mean, it was part of the fun. You'll see some other buildings. Tract 19 has an old, like a shop or garage on it, which is a good landmark, because as soon as you pass that, you're looking at Tract 18. And on the neighbor across the road, there's some old, really old barns and foundations and whatnot. So this was probably all part of the original homestead back in the day. So looking northerly on Marigold, the property is on the left. Check out the ground videos, check out the intro video and all the maps and stuff, and certainly feel free to drive out there and check out the property. We've got some good level areas on that east side, very private, some nice timber on that east side, and then as you move westerly toward the river, it begins to slope down. So you've got the potential, depending on where you build, you've got a lot of options. You might want a river view, you might want to build more toward the east side and get a view of that whole valley area and the river. Or you might want to build right up by the water. Actually, you can have up to 2 residences, so you might want to build by the water and on the east side, who knows? Spectacular property. Barclay Conservation Area gives you like 400 acres, a little more of additional land for hunting and recreation. There's a great access point to the water, which is a fun little mini float you can put in your canoe or kayak in the conservation area there and float right on down to your property, which is pretty unique. You look off in the distance straight ahead, you can see that red truck. Just barely could see that red truck. Now it's gone. So we're just going over now the east, roughly the east side of the property. What we're doing in the video is I'm trying to locate that shop or garage on Tract 19, because that would be a really good landmark to tell exactly where we are. We're more toward the southeast side of the property, I would say. But now we're heading westerly. Now it's beginning to slope down. You can see all that good timber there. And then as you get kind of toward the middle and toward the west side, that's where there were likely more large commercial oaks that were harvested. Looking southerly. And with that conservation area across, I mean, it's just going to be private basically forever. I've never heard of the state selling off any part of a major conservation area. So your view from the property is as far as we can tell, always going to be the beautiful, unspoiled conservation area. Now you can see the truck parked on that easement road, and to the left is the trail that goes down to that site that we saw just a while ago. So yeah, amazing property. Like anything that's been logged, you could certainly clean it up, or you could just leave it for a few years, and there's that raft, and let the limbs and whatnot rot away. Or you've got quite a bit of firewood there if you want it. Awesome property. Check out InstantAcres.com to see the full listing on this. If it's available, that's where you'll find it. You can call us in the office, or you can shoot us an email at sales@instantacres.com. Super rare river tract. Yeah, I could talk and talk about this one. It's really special. But ultimately, just go to InstantAcres.com to see if it's available. And if you have any questions, let us know.